Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Tonight, a chilling message echoes across the Middle East, one that could push the region closer to an all-out confrontation. Iran has issued a powerful and direct warning to Israel, following a wave of escalating military actions, cyber operations, and covert strikes. Tensions in Tel Aviv and Haifa are now at their highest point in years, as both nations brace for what could be the next major phase of this deep-rooted conflict. Let's break down what's happening, why it matters, and how close we really are to a regional explosion. In the last 48 hours, Iranian officials have sent a message that the world cannot ignore. Tehran's Revolutionary Guard commanders declared that any Israeli aggression, whether military or cyber, would be met with an immediate and overwhelming response. This came after reports that Israeli intelligence carried out a strike on an Iranian weapons convoy near the Syrian border, destroying several vehicles believed to be carrying precision-guided missiles destined for Hezbollah. Within hours, Iran's state media responded with a rare public statement from Major General Hossein Salami, the commander of the IRGC. He warned, quote, "If Israel continues its reckless actions, nowhere in its territory will be safe, not Tel Aviv, not Haifa." That statement alone sent shockwaves through the region. It wasn't just a warning, it was a declaration of capability. Iran was signaling that it has both the range and the readiness to hit deep inside Israel, targeting the country's economic and military hubs. Israeli intelligence didn't take this lightly. Reports from Tel Aviv suggest that emergency defense meetings were held late into the night. The Iron Dome and David's Sling air defense systems have been placed on high alert. In Haifa, Israel's major northern port city, the military has boosted its radar surveillance, fearing a possible strike from Hezbollah or Iranian-backed militias operating from southern Lebanon or Syria. But this standoff isn't just about rockets and drones, it's about dominance, deterrence, and the message each side wants to send to the world. For months, Israel has been conducting what it calls the shadow war, a mix of targeted strikes on Iranian assets in Syria, cyber attacks on Tehran's infrastructure, and diplomatic efforts to isolate Iran internationally. But Tehran's patience seems to have run out. Iranian officials now say that strategic restraint is over, and the next Israeli provocation will trigger direct action. To understand why this is happening now, we need to look at the shifting geopolitical map. Since the Gaza war intensified, Iran has emerged as the most vocal opponent of Israel's military campaign. It has provided political, logistical, and in some cases military support to groups opposing Israel, from Hamas in Gaza to Hezbollah in Lebanon, to the Houthis in Yemen. But something new has changed: Iran's confidence. Tehran's leadership feels emboldened by growing ties with Russia and China. The recent arms deals, oil partnerships, and defense pacts signed between Tehran, Moscow, and Beijing have given Iran both the technology and the diplomatic shield to stand firm against Western pressure. In other words, Iran no longer feels isolated. It feels powerful. At the same time, Israel faces growing internal and external challenges. The war in Gaza has drained its military resources, shaken public confidence, and strained its relations with key allies. International criticism is mounting, and protests in Tel Aviv are becoming more frequent as citizens question the government's handling of the conflict. This has created an environment of vulnerability, and Tehran knows it. In recent intelligence briefings, Israeli security officials warned that Iran's network of regional allies is becoming increasingly coordinated. Hezbollah in Lebanon has increased its reconnaissance along the northern border, while militias in Syria have begun moving advanced drones closer to the Golan Heights. In Yemen, the Houthis have openly threatened Israeli shipping in the Red Sea, claiming they have received new weapons capable of striking at Israel's southern port. Put simply, Iran doesn't have to fire a single missile from its own soil to put Israel under pressure. It can do so through its network, what analysts call the axis of resistance. And now, that axis is more active than ever. Iranian state TV recently aired footage of ballistic missile tests, showing new versions of the Kabar and Fatah systems, hypersonic weapons that Tehran claims can evade even the most advanced air defenses, including Israel's Iron Dome. These tests were broadcast just hours after Israel conducted air raids near Damascus, signaling that Iran is not afraid to display its capabilities in response. But it's not just about hardware, it's psychological warfare. Tehran's latest warning to Israel was accompanied by a media campaign showcasing simulations of potential missile strikes on Tel Aviv and Haifa. The videos showed Iranian-made missiles raining down on high-altitude targets like the Korea military headquarters in Tel Aviv and the naval base in Haifa. While clearly symbolic, the message was clear: we can reach you anywhere, anytime. In Israel, that message hit hard. Citizens have reported increased anxiety, and emergency preparedness drills have been conducted across major cities. The Israeli Home Front Command even issued new guidelines for civilians, including instructions for how to respond during large-scale missile attacks. The atmosphere feels eerily similar to the early days of the 2006 Lebanon War, when Hezbollah rockets rained down on the north. Meanwhile, international reactions have been swift. The United States has called for de-escalation, but behind the scenes, U.S. intelligence agencies are closely monitoring movements of Iranian naval units in the Persian Gulf and Syrian airbases suspected of housing Iranian drones. Washington knows that if this confrontation escalates into direct military conflict, it could drag the entire region, including U.S. forces, into another major war. Russia, on the other hand, has called for restraint from both sides. But Moscow's silence on Iran's missile warnings speaks volumes. Many analysts believe that Russia quietly supports Iran's stance, viewing it as a counterbalance to U.S. and Israeli influence in the region. The European Union, meanwhile, has urged diplomacy, but with tensions this high, words alone may not be enough. As the situation develops, one thing is certain: both Iran and Israel are preparing for confrontation. Military movements on both sides are increasing. Israel has repositioned air defense systems across the country, while Iran has reportedly placed its missile forces on partial readiness. This means that even a small miscalculation, a drone misfire, a cyber attack, or a border incident could trigger something far larger. The key question now is, will this be another round of threats and deterrence, or are we heading toward open warfare? For Iran, the message is about deterrence. Tehran wants to show that it cannot be bullied, that it has the capacity to retaliate, and the alliances to survive. For Israel, the goal is to prove that it remains in control of the region's skies and intelligence sphere, that no one, not even Iran, can dictate its security strategy. But history tells us that when both sides believe they must act to preserve deterrence, conflict often follows. Tel Aviv and Haifa, two of Israel's most critical cities, now sit at the center of this storm. Tel Aviv represents Israel's economic and political core, while Haifa is the beating heart of its military and industrial infrastructure. Iran knows that threatening these two cities strikes directly at Israel's sense of security, and that's exactly why it named them. As the world watches, leaders on both sides are facing enormous pressure. Netanyahu's government cannot appear weak, especially with domestic unrest growing. Meanwhile, Iran's Revolutionary Guard cannot afford to lose credibility after such bold statements. Both sides are trapped in a dangerous cycle of pride and power, and that's what makes this moment so perilous. In the coming days, we can expect more military posturing, more warnings, and perhaps even small-scale clashes along Israel's northern border or in Syrian airspace. But if a major strike occurs, if Iran or its allies hit Israeli soil directly, the region could ignite overnight. This is no longer a distant threat. It's a living, breathing crisis unfolding in real time, one that could reshape the Middle East once again. The world stands on edge as Iran's warning reverberates from Tehran to Tel Aviv, from Haifa to Washington. Everyone knows that a single spark could set off a firestorm. Let's hope cooler heads prevail before it's too late. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.